Alright guys, kind of my morning ritual. I step on my Vanity Planet scale. Now this scale is incredible because what it does is, not only does it show your weight of course, but it shows your body fat percentage. It also shows your water weight, your lean body mass, and kind of breaks down everything that you need to know if you're going to kind of transform your physique. So what I love about this scale is not only do I see how much I weigh and I can track my progress, but it also will show my body fat percentage as well and help me achieve my goals. Hey guys, so the theme of this video is kind of how to achieve the body and the physique that you're going after. This isn't like a big bodybuilder type physique. This is more of a fitness model. People who have, 175 to 190 pounds in good quality shape. The guy who people look at on the beach and like, hey, I want to look like that guy. So everything that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to kind of feed into that theme. So I started with kind of my morning ritual of stepping on my scale and seeing kind of where my body fat is, where my weight is. And if you use my discount code in the description below to order that scale, you'll get 60% off, which is an incredible deal. I use that scale every day. I also use the food scale that it comes with every single day, multiple times a day. I'm constantly weighing my food. I want to make sure that everything that I eat is accounted for in terms of calories. I want to make sure that everything that I eat, I know exactly how much of it I'm putting into my body, because without tracking your calories and without knowing the portions that you're putting into your body, you're never going to be able to fully achieve the physique that you want. So with this video, I want to talk about three things. I'm holding a notepad because I made some notes. I want to make sure I don't get too much off topic when it comes to kind of how to prepare for either a contest, a photo shoot, or let's say you're going to a reunion, let's say you go into a vacation and you want to look great. There are three things I want to focus on when it comes to achieving that physique. And of course, nutrition comes first, your training comes second, along with your cardio, and then supplementation plays a third role. But it also, a lot of people discount supplementation and say, oh, well, you don't really need supplements. I do think that supplements do play a much bigger role than people think. Sometimes they'll say it's like 2 or 3%. I happen to think it's a 10 to 15% role in your overall development if you're taking the right supplements. And I'm going to list a few companies that I like, a few companies that I think make good quality products, because if you've seen any of my previous videos, there are a lot of supplements in the industry that do not live up to the standards that they put on their labels, and you're better off just not taking any supplements at all than taking some of the kind of more popular and mass marketed products out there. So I will list some companies at the very end. Also, what I want to do at the very end is show you guys, not to brag of course, but I want to show you some of my work in the past I would say year and a half. I've been fortunate enough to book Muscle and Fitness 3 times, and I was in probably 8 to 12 issues in the past year and a half, which I was very fortunate to do. But I used a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in this video to help me achieve the shape, to book those jobs, and to be published in those national magazines. So first I want to start with your nutrition, and this of course takes me back to the scale that I started with, showing you my body weight and showing you, and telling you kind of how to weigh and track your foods. Now you have to get to a point where you can eyeball things, and you can kind of see when you go out to a restaurant, for example. You don't have to bring a food scale or anything like that, but you have to get to a point where you understand what you're consuming and how much of it you're consuming. So I highly, highly recommend getting a scale and a food scale and weighing your food every single day to the gram to make sure you know exactly what 6 grams of or 6 ounces of grilled chicken looks like, for example, or 60 grams of oatmeal looks like, because sometimes if you measure half a cup of oatmeal, it doesn't necessarily equal the grams that it says on the label. So you have to make sure you weigh the thing to a gram to know how many carbs, proteins, and fats are coming into your body, because without tracking your calories and without tracking your macronutrients, you're never going to achieve the results that you want. Now, of course, I'm a big proponent of fitness, of flexible dieting. I think that everyone should kind of follow it if it fits your macro style of dieting. What you have to do is get to a point where you're taking in 1 to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. There are 4 calories per gram of protein, and so you just kind of multiply whatever let's say you're 180, you're going to take in 180 to 220 grams of protein per day. Your carbs are going to come from 1.2 to 1.5 grams. There are some people that can tolerate more. I can't tolerate much more than that and drop body fat. So they'll get to a point where I'm taking in less than, I'll take in like 0.8 grams of carbs. But I highly recommend getting a nutritional calculator online. There are thousands of them. Try to calculate your resting metabolic rate and how many calories you need just to maintain. And then what you do is subtract 250 to 500 calories from that, and put in your activity level and things like that. And what you'll do is you'll be able to find kind of a nice balance of calories that you can consume on a daily basis and still drop weight and not lose too much muscle or not lose just water weight and lose muscle mass. So you want to make sure that you're at a point where you can not only achieve the results that you want, but also not feel terrible at the same time. So I highly recommend getting the food scale, weighing your food every single day. Make sure, even if you want to have, like I weigh popcorn on that thing all the time. I'm eating healthier popcorn, or low-fat ice cream. I measure this stuff out. I don't put it in a measuring cup. I weigh it to the gram to make sure I know exactly how many calories I'm taking in. You also should track all of your calories through either MyFitnessPal or My Macros. Make sure you're hitting your threshold every single day. So protein is about 1 to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight. Your carbs are coming, again, this all depends on the individual. I would say 1.25 to 1.5 grams of carbs. This is where you start, and then of course as you get closer to either a show, a vacation, a photo shoot, whatever that may be, you'll start to cut your carbs down. Then your fat is going to be roughly 60 to 70 grams of fat. And I would say throughout an entire duration of a diet, let's say you set aside 10 weeks to diet, I wouldn't really alter your protein much. Your protein should pretty much stay steady the whole time. Usually your fat stays steady as well. You can drop your fat maybe down to 50 or 40 max. That's a pretty low amount of fat. But what you want to do is really start to kind of cut down your carbs as you get closer to a photo shoot and stuff like that. But yeah, I highly recommend, if you're going to kind of diet for something, start early and start at a much higher calorie count than, you just don't want to cut calories immediately, because at that point, if you're 10 weeks out, let's say, and you just cut calories drastically, you're going to eventually hit a plateau. And guess what? You're now 8 weeks out and you're at 1,200 calories. Where are you going to go? You're going to go down to 1,000, 800, 600? I mean, you can't drop them that quickly. So I highly recommend either starting 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Sometimes I'll start 14 or 16 weeks out from a competition, and it's pretty much a smooth ride. I mean, yeah, the last month or so I'll feel the diet a little bit, but you definitely should give yourself enough time to actually focus on slowly dropping the weight, because the slower you drop it, the more muscle mass you're going to keep, and the more likely you're going to keep off the body fat after the competition. If you just crash and burn, if you just crash diet, you're going to crash and burn after the show too. You're going to rebound and gain a lot of body fat back, and you're going to probably lose a lot of muscle in the process. Also, don't believe in cheat meals. Even though I'll still call it a cheat meal on occasion. You should probably just focus on refeeds every 2 weeks or so, kind of depending on how you're feeling. A refeed would be just keeping your fats the same. You can probably drop your fats a little bit actually, and then just increasing your carbohydrates. So let's say you're eating 200 grams of carbs a day. I would say cut your fat down to like 50 grams if you're eating 60 or 70, and then eat like 400 grams of carbs and keep your protein around the same. So what you do is just kind of jack up your carbohydrate intake, and you don't necessarily have to go on a complete binge like most people do. Cheat days don't exist anymore. Cheat meals, I guess you can kind of make that work to a certain extent. I believe in refeeds, where you, every 2 weeks or so after dieting pretty hard and hitting your cardio, just increasing your carb intake. Not going out and eating a whole pizza and ice cream and all that stuff. You do that, you're going to kind of wreak havoc on your body, and also it's really bad for your mentality. I mean, a lot of people in the fitness industry end up developing really bad relationships and unhealthy relationships with food. What this does is, if it fits your macros, it helps you eat the things that you want in moderation, so you can fit in whatever you want. You don't have to completely deprive yourself, and that's why I believe in that. So nutrition is key. I'm kind of giving you guys just a general overview of the diet. If you want to ask any questions in the comment sections, I'm willing to go into more detail in that. But this is just kind of a generalization when it comes to nutrition. Let me just recap the nutrition. Definitely get a food scale. Definitely weigh yourself, because a lot of these numbers, the calories and protein, comes from your body weight. So make sure you have the scale. Make sure you have a food scale to weigh your food, and that link to get the best one, in my opinion, from Vanity Planet that I've been using over the past, I'd say, 2 years. For a discount code for 60% off, just use my code in the description, and I think you're going to highly benefit from that. So get that, track your stuff through MyFitnessPal or My Macros Plus, and then track yourself by obviously weighing yourself, or take pictures, because pictures don't lie. So just take a picture in the same spot, even if it's bad lighting, take it in the same spot with the bad lighting, shirtless, front and back, and just look at yourself each week and see if anything's changing. And if it's not, then you need to probably take your calories down a little bit. So yeah, that's the nutrition side. Now, training. This is where people end up changing things too drastically, and they end up kind of burning themselves out and not looking, kind of that full, dense, hard look that they want to look for a photo shoot or for a competition. It's pretty simple, guys. Don't start training with light weights and high reps. A lot of people have been misled, and they think that training high rep and with lighter weights is going to somehow like increase the cuts of their muscle or the details in their muscles, and they're going to somehow get lean. The truth is, you got to train heavy throughout the entire prep. I think that training, I say heavy, it's relative. 6 to 10 repetitions each set is what works for me. What I'll do is I'll work out 5 days a week. Chest, triceps, back, biceps, legs, shoulders, and then maybe repeat a full body routine or something. Then take a day off and then go right back into another chest workout. So what I do is, pick 3 to 5 exercises, hit 3 sets to failure, 6 to 10 reps. Keep the intensity high. Rest a minute and a half in between, and and throwing drop sets and rest pause sets. These are the things that are going to help you not only maintain your muscle, but potentially put on muscle in the very kind of beginning stages of your dieting phase. When you're in a big deficit, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to put on size, but you want to try to maintain and stimulate the muscle as much as you can throughout the prep, because if you just do high reps, you're going to actually burn out your muscles, and they're going to kind of be signal to possibly decrease in size. Now, I don't think that doing 15 reps is such a bad idea, but when you start lightening the load to the point where you can do 20 to 30 to 40 reps, there's really no point in doing that. I mean, you're just kind of wasting your time, because if the weight is that light, you're not going to actually provide enough stimulus to the muscles. So make sure that you're doing that. Also focus on free weights, the compound movements, whether you're in a bulking phase, a maintenance phase, or a cutting phase. You should always focus on compound movements, the things that are going to stimulate 2 to 3 or more muscles. Your bench press, your deadlifts, your squats, your bent over rows, your weighted chin-ups, standing or seated overhead press. Focus on the free weight exercises. That's going to increase core stabilization and increase muscle recruitment. You can throw in some isolation moves. I definitely like cables. I definitely like some machines, but I think you should focus, the main movements of each workout should be focused around your free weight compound movements. It's pretty simple, guys. You focus on the weight training to stimulate and build muscle, focus on the diet and the cardio to burn the body fat. And when it comes to cardio, let's say you're starting a diet 12 weeks out, do not start 6 days a week cardio at 30 minutes per day. What you want to do is, again, just like everything else, start slow. So eventually you might get to a point where you're having to do 6 days a week, 45 minutes of cardio, just depending on how slowly or how fast you're progressing. But what you want to do is start off maybe at 4 days a week at 20 to 25 minutes and see how you progress for 2 weeks. And then you slowly start getting that up, because again, you're going to hit a plateau eventually throughout a diet, and you don't want to have already thrown all your cards into the mix at 8 weeks out, because then what are you going to do? You're going to cut your calories even more? You're going to go above an hour of cardio a day? I don't think that that's sustainable, and I don't think that's something that people should do. Now, you might have to the last couple of weeks if you have to just get off some real stubborn body fat, but I highly, highly recommend doing a longer version of a diet and a more sustainable version of a diet, because when you crash like that and you have to diet really hard, cut your carbs to almost nothing, cut your fat down to almost nothing, and doing 2 hours of cardio a day, tell me what's going to happen the moment after that shoot happens, the moment after that competition happens. You're going to cut the cardio out, you're going to kind of gorge yourself full of the food that you've been deprived of, and it's usually a recipe for disaster, and your metabolism cannot handle it, and you end up putting on a lot of body fat. So I highly recommend using cardio as, you know, it's not the end-all be-all when it comes to fat loss. It's all about calories in versus calories out. And you can burn a lot of calories with your weight training, and you can just restrict yourself a little bit when it comes to your nutrition. So you don't necessarily have to use cardio starting off. But if you feel like you're behind and you need to use some cardio, start off light. Maybe 4 days a week, 20 to 25 minutes, kind of steady state. See how you progress for 2 weeks. You got to bump it up to 30 minutes, and then maybe go to 5 days, and then bump that up to 35 minutes, and then bump it up to 6 days and 40 minutes. So it just gets to a point where, yeah, you probably will have to do cardio. There are a few people that can get by on a major cut and not have to do cardio. They're the genetically blessed. Unfortunately, I am not one of them, and most people watching this are probably not either. So you will have to do cardio. I know it's not the most fun, but you probably have to find a way to expend more calories. And so just make sure when you're doing your cardio, don't look at cardio as the only thing that's going to help you get cut, get lean, get shredded. It's the diet first, and then it's the cardio. So make sure you don't start off just kind of burning yourself out on cardio, and then you're 6 weeks out and you've already been doing 6 hours of cardio a week. Start slow. Okay, now when it comes to supplements, there are some supplements that obviously do help. I believe in, you know, finding supplements that definitely help with muscle preservation. Then, of course, things that are going to help boost the metabolism, like your kind of quote-unquote fat burners. And then, of course, your overall general health products. So, of course, I take a multivitamin every day. It's kind of a whole food-based one. I also take fish oil every single day. Whey protein, I don't really consider that a supplement. I think that's more of a food source, and I use that as sometimes a meal replacement. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about these companies. Companies that I recommend are Core Nutritionals, is a high-quality product, a high-quality company. PE Science, I'm sure a lot of people have seen that online, another great company. One company that most people have never really heard of is Beverly International. They make high-quality stuff. And then another company is AST Sports Science. Okay. These are probably companies that maybe you haven't heard of, and that's because they don't spend a ton of money on marketing. The companies that you know and that you see everywhere, I can guarantee you they're spending more money on marketing than they are on the actual products themselves and the quality of the ingredients that they put into their proteins and creatines and stuff like that. So I highly recommend not taking some of the best sellers that are out there. They're usually not the best ones. They may taste great, but they're not going to give you the best results. And usually they're endorsed by people that are taking massive amounts of drugs and steroids, and then they take a shirtless photo for an ad and promote some kind of crappy fat burner, and people are very gullible and say, oh, he looks great because he takes this fat burner, when in reality he's actually just a guy who's on drugs who may not even take that product that he's promoting. So try to focus on those 4 companies. Those are high quality companies. There are probably a few other out there. De Novo is another good one. They make great protein, a great pre-workout. But yeah, I believe in supplements that are going to help you preserve muscle, like BCAAs, kind of intra-workout. I drink that while I work out. Of course, I take a pre-workout just because I like to feel an instant kind of energy burst before I go into the gym. One that has creatine, one that has citrulline and augmentin, betaine, things that are going to help your performance. Beta-alanine is not necessarily for a pre-workout, I don't believe. So that's more of kind of an endurance ingredient. Also, if you want to look for a good fat burner, look for things that have things in the clinical doses. Now, you can look for companies that don't use proprietary blends. The companies I listed don't use proprietary blends. They tell you everything that's in the product. But look for, you know, green tea, synephrine, yohimbe, L-carnitine, kind of green coffee beans, stuff like that. So that's stuff that'll just kind of assist in the process. It's not going to be the end-all be-all, but it is going to assist in the process. And again, guys, you know, ask me any questions that you have in the comments section. This just kind of was a brief overview of nutrition, training, and supplementation when it comes to kind of cutting and getting ready for a photo shoot or a competition, or if you want to really get in shape for a vacation, or you just want to show off at a reunion or something. But yeah, these are just kind of basic fundamentals that are in guidelines. I follow the flexible dieting. I weigh my stuff every single day. I have to make sure that I know exactly what I'm taking in, because I want to weigh everything to the gram. You just can't eyeball it, and you can't you can't guess when it comes to what you're consuming. You have to make sure you're weighing all of your food, and make sure you weigh it to a point where you know exactly what to plug in and track your calories and your macros through the FitnessPal. Keep your weight training heavy. Do not start training light because you think it's going to help you get cut. It's not true. Actually, the opposite will happen. You'll end up losing muscle and looking soft. So train heavy and with as much intensity as you can. And then when your supplements, you know, focus on the high quality companies, Core Nutritionals, PE Science, Beverly International, AST Sports Science. Those are companies that I've taken over the years that I truly like and that have given me incredible results, and I just think that it's really good. I'm going to end this video with a couple of shots just to kind of show you my conditioning when I put all these things into action and when I get ready for a photo shoot. Also, I'm going to be shooting a shoulder workout this week. It's been a couple weeks since my last workout video, but it's coming. And then guys, you'll have a full week of training, and yeah, you can follow my arm workout, my chest, back, leg, and shoulder workout, and then I'll throw in an ab video as well after that. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this this video. You know, leave any comments in there in this comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.